Hello, YouTube. I had something follow me home the other night on the trailer. Hoping to have a fun little project here. Gonna take this Allied 8-foot wide 3-point mounted snowblower and convert it to hydraulic drive onto the skid steer. I have a blank mounting plate on the skid steer. I'm gonna weld that to what we have here. But before we do that, I am going to mount the motor so we can see about where the plate needs to be. We got a little bit of leeway because the plate is open. So I've got, I believe, everything I need to try it. And then in the future, this valve block is going to go on there. That's off of, I used one off of a actual skid steer snowblower. So that has all the proper reliefs and spool valves for safely running this. So like if you hit something hard, it'll stall out, go over relief, and save the motor and the snowblower. Plus, you'll be able to be hooked up to turn the spout, and it also has a function to tip this spout, but this one isn't set up to be tipped currently. So, let's get after it. So the hydraulic motor, to couple that on there, it's a different size shaft. The motor is 1.25 inches, and the shaft on the snowblower is 1.5 inches. So we gotta go and do this. There's a couple ways of doing this, but this is what I'm gonna do. You take a chain sprocket hub, you weld it onto a sprocket, goes on the motor, the other one gets welded onto this one, and that one goes on there, and then you just couple them up. And if you need to take it apart, you take out the link, it all comes apart. They had this at my local Napa. There's other ways of doing it, but there is not, to my knowledge, a direct coupling unless you took something like this, tried to get it perfectly straight and welded it together. This will give a little. So I'll get these sprockets welded on here, and then we'll see how it looks. I'm gonna take the grinder to the edges a little bit, make sure you got any nice clean steel surface to weld to. And I'm also going to do the hub a little bit. That should be good enough to put a weld on there. A good solid weld. Seated on there good. We'll go tack it. Then I'll get burned in. Now that this is all welded up and cooled down, we can start some assembly. If you want your parts to come apart, you're going to want to put a little bit of anti-seize on, but don't overdo it. This stuff makes a mess. Just a little bit. You don't want to get crazy with it. It's going to sling it everywhere. That's a little too thick there. That's alright. Don't get crazy with it. That'll work. And it's going to be all over the place. So somebody put a through hole, dang it. Somebody put a through hole through there. So in this lock set screw, I'm going to put a bolt. And go and slip that on there. I did clean the shaft up before, but apparently I'm gonna have to give it a couple tappy tap taps. When I lock keyways and lock screws, I like to run them down hard, back them off, run them down hard again. Do that a couple times and they usually don't go anywhere. Now for the motor. This here is a pretty pristine motor I picked up. As you can tell, it's got a little bit of rust flaking on here. This is from what I figured out to be the right displacement motor I need for this project, for this skid steer. This one does turn. It's a little bit rough, but the reason it was pulled off is because the seal was leaking. I don't know why it would be leaking. I mean, it looks like brand new. So this is on like a trailer that they haul fertilizer with. So it does have a good tag on it. That's how I determined that it was what I needed. And it's not going to cost me anything to try. And I will be able to get a replacement motor identical if it works good. They're still readily available. Or I might be able to do a seal kit in this one. Just a tiny bit of anti-seize, like I did the last time. You don't need too much. It's just going to splatter all over the place and get all over your hands and all over your hammer. Sometimes the keys have a little burr on them. They don't want to start. Take the chain and make sure that's going to work. Just the weight of the chain got the blower turning. Looks like it should work. We'll tighten down these keys. These lock screws. And see, this allows some give. See, and the reason I do that with those lock screws is generally they got a little, I don't know if you can see that, they got some serrations on there, so it kind of bites in. It actually makes a little groove, takes a little material out, makes a groove that these won't slide back and forth in then. So now I'll have to come up with a mounting plate. A piece that'll go across here with a piece of steel that the motor will bolt to. And then I'll end up cutting some of this off so we can mount the plate. And I think that's where I'm going to end for part one. We'll pick up on part 2 on another video. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.